I got a minute.
Ryan's business cards.
I got them. Okay. How many licenses we got overall that we're approving tonight? You know?
We have 78 like what I would consider primary licenses, and then probably another 40, 45 secondary.
78? Is it in here? That's
Like
good enough.
81.
81.
Yep, it's right here on my report. 81.
Come on. Is it in the back?
Yeah, that's the very last
Oh,
on the
yeah.
agenda. That's got the summary.
81 total?
81 primary, and then an additional 39 secondary, plus gaming and entertainment.
Okay. So we won't be reading those off,
Oh, come on.
right? Come on. Now I don't. Call to order a meeting for this normal local liquor commission. Please call the roll.
Mayor Coos?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Byers?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy?
We'll begin with the approval of the minutes of the special meeting of February 19th, 2024.
Move approval.
Second.
Corrections? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mayor Coos?
Aye. Have a number of complaint and citations. I'll just go over those. As a report, there's no action required. These are a result of a, what would you call it, ID check verification at a number of establishments. The first is Fiala Brothers Beer and LLC. Furnished alcohol to a person under 21 years of age. A stipulation guilty plea and settlement agreement was proposed, and a fine of $250 was levied, and that has been paid. That will be the same for all of these. And so the other establishments that were fined were Highland Park CVS LLC, doing business as CVS Pharmacy at 100 South Bell Avenue. 707 Liquors and Mart number 3 at 108 North Linden Street. Chronister Oil Company, doing business as Quick and Easy at 1609 North Main Street. All first offenses, all fined $250, and all have paid. And then the motion tonight would be to approve renewal of liquor licenses. Could I have a motion for that?
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion on this or any questions? Please call the roll.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Coos?
Aye, those licenses are approved. We have approved 81 regular liquor licenses and 39 licenses with other things such as catering and extension of premises, things like that. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Coos?
Aye, we are adjourned. Call to order a regular meeting for the normal town council for March 18th, 2024. Please call the roll.
Mayor Coos?
Here.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Here.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Byers?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Preston?
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. We have no public comment tonight. We'll move to the omnibus agenda. Items considered routine and will be taken with one vote unless a council member would like to pull an item for discussion. Ms. Lorenz?
Yes, I'd like to pull item G.
Ms. Smith?
And I'd like to pull item C.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Items considered under the omnibus tonight are approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of March 4th, 2024, report to receive and file town of normal expenditures for payment as of March 13th, 2024. A resolution authorizing a contract extension with Cardinal Infrastructure LLC for the professional services related to federal advocacy and funding. A resolution to waive the formal bidding process and accept a quote from Martin Equipment for the purchase of a 2024 John Deere 410P backhoe loader through the Sourcewell joint purchasing, totaling $114,500. Resolution authorizing the purchase of a Falcon 4-ton transporter hot box for asphalt patching from CMW Equipment in the amount of $50,342 through the Sourcewell Joint Purchasing Cooperative. A resolution conditionally approving the final plat for the Weldon Reserve Subdivision, Second Edition, and a resolution to appropriate $1 million of motor fuel tax funds for the resurfacing of various streets for the 2014 motor fuel tax street resurfacing project, and authorize the Director of Public Works and Engineering to sign the IDOT General Maintenance Form. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz.
Aye.
Ms. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Byers.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Before voting, I just wanted to recuse myself from voting on the expenditure item that includes a reimbursement to myself. But aye on everything else.
Mr. Preston.
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. Those items are approved. Item C is a resolution to authorize a contract with American Ramp Company for the design and construction of a skate park at Fairview Park in the amount not to exceed $440,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
I wanted to remove this item from the omnibus agenda because I attended this function and it was quite well attended, and it had some very engaged people that were there for an extended period of time, speaking to the consultants that the Parks Department had brought in. And when I inquired with Ms. Reese what avenues had been used to generate such a response, she gave a lengthy answer about beyond using the typical outlets of social media and print media. There were some interviews on air, and there were some contacts made of some influential people, but there was also the attraction of the skaters that were there. So it was very successful, and I applaud the town for working so hard to get public input on this attraction that has some very rabid fans. Thank you.
Further on this item? Please call the roll.
Ms. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Byers.
Aye.
Ms. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Preston.
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz.
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. That item is approved. Item G is a resolution to accept bids and award a contract to Rowe Construction, Division of United Contractors Midwest Incorporated, for the intersection improvements at Fort Jesse Road and Landmark Drive and Fort Jesse Road and Greenbrier Drive in the amount of $2,150,445.93 and an associated budget adjustment.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Ms. Lorenz.
Thank you. So I pulled this item because I think it's of interest, given that it's two very busy intersections that might be of general interest by those who drive past there. and through there. And I know it's been particularly Landmark has been looked at a little further to the south, Landmark and College. So I just was noticing that there weren't any drawings, and wondered if we could, that were included in our packet, and wondered if we were at a stage yet where some of the more details about this traffic signaling might be shared with us tonight, or if that comes at a later point.
No, ordinarily there wouldn't be anything that would come back to council, and typically just as a road project, we ordinarily wouldn't share a whole lot of construction detail, but I guess Mr. Otto's sitting right near the front, so he can probably answer any
you.
questions
That'd be
council
great.
might have about what the intersection will look like, I suppose, or both intersections, when it's complete.
And I don't care which one you start with.
Sure, thank you. This project will install traffic signals at both Greenbrier and Fort Jesse and Landmark and Fort Jesse. It's a fairly basic installation. The complicated part is actually the coordination because of the proximity to Veterans Parkway. So we have a pretty basic signal, pretty basic light, four-way interchange at Greenbrier, but a three-way T intersection at Landmark. And so the big technical part happens in the controller boxes where we connect the fiber to Fort Jesse with Veterans, and then all the timing and thing is worked out with the Illinois Department of Transportation. So we coordinate really closely with them. An interesting thing about the Greenbrier and Fort Jesse intersection is we'll also be replacing and lengthening the box culvert there. One of the things we notice is that the truck movements, especially when you turn southbound onto Greenbrier, a lot of trucks access Walmart that way. They cut the corner all the time and drag mud down the street, and so we'll lengthen that radius and lengthen the box culvert and try to take care of some of the problems we see there, as well as improve the pedestrian access. Right now, the trucks tear up the sidewalk because they get so far off the road, and I think it's going to be a lot better.
May I follow up? Will there be any lane changes, or will it all still be as is, and just adding the signaling?
It will generally be the same as it is now.
Okay. And we only got the one bid on this one?
We did, yes.
Okay. Did that surprise you at all, or is that, I mean, we see that a fair amount.
There was a lot of work in this time frame out for bid, and so we don't know if that played a factor or not, but it may have.
Okay. All right. Well, I think this is a great project. I'm glad we're getting to it. I know I go through those places all the time, so I will be looking forward to the increased safety in both of those locations. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Not so much a question, but just to reiterate something as a reminder. This came up to us some time ago around when we were having concerns with, we initially were having conversations about transportation and dealing with the bus system. And I remember, Pam, you and I took those tours, and some of the things we heard on the tours was the intersection at Landmark and Fort Jesse, also having impacts with those who are leaving Bridgestone. And so I'm just grateful that, it's taken time, and I know that's something that's been in the back of our minds, but I'm just grateful that we've finally been able to get the data necessary to move forward on this. So definitely want to highlight this has been a long time coming, but we always know that nothing goes fast.
On this item. Please call the roll.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Preston?
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz?
Aye.
Ms. Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Kus?
Aye. That resolution is approved. We move to general orders, and we have two items tonight. The first is an ordinance rezoning property in the town of Normal at Healing Stone Court. For approval.
Move.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
Oh, Mayor, I'm sorry, I have one question here. For staff, just on this property, and I know that the zoning is R3A to the south in the Horse Creek area, but if my interpretation is correct, the lot potentially could be accessed by either Healing Stone or Horse Creek. Is that right? And so at least there'll be consistent zoning really on both sides if there does end up being with some future development access from technically either neighborhood with this lot.
I think that, oh, there it is. You surprised me, sitting over there. That's not his usual spot. Mr. Trummel is going to respond to that. Thank you.
Well, you're correct in that the rezoning did have it fall in line with the properties that are on what we call the enclave. So they're both R3. There would be no interconnection potential between Horse Creek and this property.
Okay.
So all these properties that, whether they develop individually or together, will take their access off of Healingstone Court.
Got it. Thanks.
I'll just do a quick comment.
Further on this item?
Mayor. Maybe if Mr. Trummel doesn't want to go too far away, I just remember Healingstone Court when I was way back a younger planning commission member, and it being quite a bit of consternation as this little parcel, several parcels at the time, were exercising their right as it was laid out to be either R3 or
B1.
B1, yeah. So as time has gone on and it has gotten developed, how has it
Performed.
evolved and performed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it developed pretty quickly, the property to the west, on the west side of Healingstone Court. And that was a combination of a local developer and then a local management company, and they performed wonderfully.
Good.
We've not had any, real problems per se. It's certainly not like, and no offense, but it's not like a student-oriented, it's too far away from campus. This
Right.
is kind of family housing and that kind of thing. So expect probably a similar client base on this property as well, so.
Okay. Good to see the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Preston,
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz,
Aye.
Ms. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Byers.
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. That ordinance is approved. Item 8 is an ordinance authorizing the annual publication of a zoning map.
Move for approval. Second.
Discussion on this item.
An exciting day.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Preston,
Aye.
Mrs. Lorenz,
Aye.
Ms. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Byers,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. That ordinance is approved. We have no new business before taking a motion for adjournment. There are council concerns or comments. Mr. Preston.
I would just like to thank everyone involved in what I'm sure is extensive coordination and logistics involved in the St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday. It is a great parade. I know we're glad to have it in Uptown. I believe it is probably the shortest parade route that exists in McLean County, so don't be late or you'll miss the whole thing. But it was great. Looked like great turnout and a great day for it on Saturday.
Great. Ms. Smith.
I just want to reach out and commend a neighbor in my subdivision. We have a foreign exchange student staying with us from Austria, and apparently on her hustling to or from her school bus, she dropped her wallet. This individual found it and took it to the police station. Because she had a membership card in there of a health club we belonged to, they were able to track down that she was staying with us. And when she got it back, she says, nothing's missing, not even the cash. So and it was very gratifying to see us make that kind of an impression. So thank you to my neighbor on Brookwood.
Lorenz.
Thank you. I just want to draw attention and provide accolades to some local journalism that's following the recent news of the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council. And so I just want to echo some concerns that I offered up in a most recent piece that was published late last week. As sort of background, the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council, arbiters generally of, or at least advisory, of the shared sales tax dollars, of which about 2.2 million come from normal taxpayers to help fund the Mental Health Action Plan. This group has been meeting for a number of years, but is suspended in its meetings for the time being. I do applaud the chairperson for seeking some clarification. As time has evolved, I think it is important that we get some very clear understandings of the scope and the guide rails for the BHCC. However, I will just share here what I shared in that article, in that I am concerned that it's been suspended with very little information about what are the next steps. And so I shared in this article that I think that the information about some of those details, kind of the process of resolving the policy and guidelines for this coordinating council, is owed to all of us, to the public, to the taxpayers, to the stakeholders, to know what to expect going forward. There's a lot of money that rolls through that Behavioral Health Coordinating Council, all for very commendable issues. Mental Health Action Plan, I don't need to expound on the importance of that, but I think we need to know process and have clarity on how we will get to a better state for it. So I just wanted to underscore that, and also, like I said, applaud the local journalism following this.
Thank you. Motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Lorenz,
Aye.
Ms. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Byers,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Preston,
Aye.
Mayor Kus.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you. Yeah, why don't I go ahead and sign that, since I'll be disappearing.